Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of On the Mic with Mike. I'm your host, Mike Larkin, and joining me today, my goodness gracious, what a fantastic content creator, model, adult star, the one, the only Miss Eris Jolie. How are you, Eris?
I'm so good, Mike. Thank you so much. What an intro. I need to hire you to follow me places and give people my title because when people are like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I just show my ass on the internet." But that sounds a lot better.
Well, no, I concur with you. First and foremost, the most bluntest of ways to put that. But also, number two, if you really look at it, like everything that we do in life is an art form, right? So even the adult entertainment industry, even porn and everything that we do, it's an art form. It's a job,
Totally,
it's a
yeah.
profession. You have to really normalize everything now, right?
Yeah, I guess it's just like it's hard to explain that to people who aren't in it or don't see it that way because people will just think porn and then that's it. And it's like, no, it's so much more than that though. You got to think it's like you're curating videos, you're curating a look, you're curating content and entertainment, and it's an all-encompassing job.
It's kind of like in the 40-Year-Old Virgin when yeah, Paul Rudd going to Steve Carell, and he's like, "I got this big giant box of porn, Andy. Here it is, Boner Jams '03, the best mixtape of the scenes I was rocking in 2003." Kind of like that, if you will.
Period. Yeah, yeah. There's nuance. I'm so
Absolutely.
sorry. My puppy's being a little frisky.
You were totally fine. You were totally fine. I gotta say, with the said adult entertainment industry, folks, you, my friend, have been doing the damn thing thus far within your tenure. So I have to ask you, what kind of gravitated you towards the adult entertainment world and the world of content creation? How'd you get your start?
Yeah, well, I was a drag performer for 7 years before I started like doing like content creating. And so I've just always been like a performer at heart. I love the idea of a production. I love, a costume, a theme, an idea. Like I love that kind of stuff. And I love putting into the realm of performance art. And I started stripping 3.5 years ago at a local T-girl party here in Lexington, Kentucky, a little bit after I started transitioning. And through that, I met Brooke Zanell, who is like a trans porn star who's like relatively well known and was more active in like the 2010s. But since then, she's kind of like stepped back from like doing industry porn and content creating as much, and she kind of just like hosts and participate in these like T-girl parties around the country. But she hosted the one here in Lexington, and she kind of introduced me to the idea of like, studio porn and groovy, and I kind of like took my own like reins and started the OnlyFans and started kind of just like touching and dabbling and just really getting an idea of like what the industry is and what it entails. And I'll say through like social media and stuff, I started seeing like certain like stars like Brittany Kate and Gracie Jane and like these girls who are really involved in like the club scene and the events and like just kind of like leaking and touching into other pieces of culture. And it really intrigued me because I was like, okay, this is a thing. And not only is it a thing, it's like kind of like an influencer kind of thing nowadays. And it's really like it's a look and it's cool and it's sexy and it's fun and it can be a career. So like that really drove me to want to pursue it like full time.
I think what I like to say, just to add to your point, what I love about everything that you just really encompassed with what you just said there, it's all about the real deal sex appeal type of vibes, ladies and gentlemen. It's one of those things where you look at the Britney Cage, you look at so many great people in the adult entertainment industry. And like you said, everything, you really look at it, it's a vibe. And I mean, from the events, from the entertainment, the performance, the presentation, if you will,
Yes.
it's stuff like that's just really like cool just to see in today's day and age. And like you mentioned, the influencers, we're in a day and age of marketing, promoting, and especially with social media, you have to be able to build and to establish your brand. So I mean, it's the constant grind of what we get to do from many different outlooks of our surroundings, so to speak.
Absolutely. And like honestly, I'm a goal driven person and like when I have a goal and like I have a clear cut idea of what I want, I love chasing and I love going for it as hard as I can. So when I kind of like started like seeing these stars and kind of being like, "Oh," I was like, I like that. I want to be something like that. And once I, had an idea, once I had like that clear cut vision of like, okay, I want to achieve this, then it was just like nothing could stop me. Maybe I had a Ritalin prescription and a dream like
I think what I love about you too, and what you provide with your social media and your content, Miss Jolie, is the fact that we get to see a lot of beautiful imagery, internally, externally. It's absolutely flawless. What I really do love it, you're very welcome. What I love about the imagery, what we see in your films that we're going to get into, I think what we can tell from watching you imagery standpoint and video standpoint is the
Mhm.
fact that you love what you do. It shows within your work, and that really is a lot of engaging. And as we see in many different movies, whether it be adult movies and then movies in popular culture, it's about
Mhm.
evoking emotions, eliciting reactions, and you certainly do that within your work.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I think that's a really important part of what I like to do as a content creator too. It's like because I feel like if your heart isn't in it, like the audience isn't going to resonate with it the same way. Sure, it might be hot, you might look good, but that's cute for a second, but that's not longevity. That's not legacy. That's not really building yourself like a solid, place in the industry and like a solid thing that people are going to remember. So I always try to like just put myself as hard as I can into what I do and what I create. Because if I don't like it, what's the point? I'm not going to want to sit there and edit it for hours. I'm not going to want to push it. I'm not going to want to write a description. I'm not going to want to make it look pretty. I have to like it. And if the more I like it, the more I care about it, and then the better it's going to be.
Well, absolutely. And I mean, you certainly have shown up and showed out with your latest film with Chris Rail. That if you're those who have not checked it out, you should, because it is, dare I say, sweet. Hashtag on the suite, the penthouse suite, if you will. Y'all really encompassed and encaptured a lot within the scene. Very hot, very essential. I got to say, you two have some great chemistry together.
Thank you. Yeah, it was really natural too. Like me and him had just kind of like chatted about like getting together like a few times on Twitter, but we always kept kind of missing each other when I was like in the area. And then like we just it really randomly just worked out perfectly. And it was just super natural, super easy. And I gotta say, like that was like I think like the quickest like collab I've ever shot just because it was just smooth, and he was really good at setting up angles in his space, and he knew what looked good where. And it was like I don't think we had to cut or like re-edit or reframe anything even once. So like I'm glad it showed so organically on film because it was a really easy process. It was smooth.
I think that's what I love about it too. Is I mean, we go back in the days of the Cinemaxes back in the day where there's like a porn film at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I mean, you see stuff like that, and you see the authenticity, you see the genuinity of what we get to see in said films nowadays, especially with how porn in the adult entertainment industry has so much changed with like streaming, with many vids, with X videos, with OnlyFans, and so many different sites. I think with what you encompass with Chris too, not only is it the fact that it's a nice, very intimate setting and a nice room, and then boom, here we are, we're making love all day, all night, if you will, 24/7. That
Mhm.
type of vibes, that type of connection, if you will, resonates with people. And I think what I love about it too, as well, is I gotta say, and I've seen a lot of the role play stuff that you've done as well. You could dress as like a schoolgirl, you could dress like a cheerleader, you could dress in whatever you want, man. I gotta say, you got the style and a profile that I love the aesthetics that you add to it.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very aesthetically driven. Growing up, I loved fashion. I love like character design in video games and TV shows, and I always loved music videos and modeling. I grew up on America's Next Top Model, so like aesthetically, like I'm a very aesthetic driven person, and I really try to bring that to what I do because I'm like I want it to look good. I want it to look like me. I wanted the cute logo. I wanted like the cute setups, the cute, I'll dress a set. I'll spend an hour dressing a set if I have to. I'll set the lighting up. I'll make sure it looks perfect. I'll wait for the right time of day, for the sun to be in the right place. And I will spend hours on the way I look because I think that's like one of the most important things, especially if I'm going to charge for a video, like that's my thing. If I'm going to charge money for a piece of content, I'm going to put work into it and I'm going to put hours into it. And I'm going to make sure that the person can tell that when they're enjoying the content.
I think what I love about it too, as well, is, and I put this into the utmost sincere respect into the forefront here for you. What I really do enjoy too, as well, is not just that aesthetic, but how you also brought up, like, you look at a woman like Tyra Banks, ladies and gentlemen, from back in the day, America's Next Top Model. I mean, Life Size with Lindsay Lohan. We'll take it back to
Mhm.
the Disney Channel days. Like,
Iconic.
yes, okay, you see, I'm right there with you. One of my favorites as a kid.
Yeah,
So,
same.
like when you look at Tyra Banks as like as she fed the Eve doll great in the Life Size movie, like
Mhm.
she is just one of those women who very iconic for her poise and her stature, but also at the
Mhm.
same time very much an influence, an empowering influence on a lot of
Yes.
amazing women and people. And I
Mhm.
think if you can provide that, and I think we talk about the character and the aesthetic, but I think you as a person, the overall foundation here, I think with us as our foundation, who we are as people, goes a long way. And I think you set a good tone for your fan base and just a lot of fun for the people that people love. And I love that. I think that brings people together.
Yeah, thank you. It's absolutely what I try to do. I look at this as, like I said, it's a career, it's a goal, and it's a goal I want to achieve, and it's something I'm passionate about, and I want it. And if I'm gonna do it, I want to put my whole self behind it. And not only that, but like not only be a great performer, be a good content creator, like be a good curator. Because when you are a content creator, you have to be talent, you have to be management, you have to be editing, you have to be like you're everything at once. Like there's nobody like working for me. I do everything myself. But I like to, take care of myself behind the scenes too, because I don't feel like if you are healthy, if you're good in a good place mentally and emotionally, it's gonna like show in like the way that you show up for your job. And I make sure to try to do that. I'm very sober. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't go out and party. I try to get good sleep. I try to be responsible and take care of things in my everyday life and try to stay in good health. And I think that that kind of, you know, helps me provide the best content that I can. I think what how we take care of ourselves behind the scenes is just as important as like what we put into like our content and like the way we interact with people like on the internet.
Well, you have now made me smile, Miss Eris Jolie. This one over here with your straight edge vibes. Don't drink, don't smoke. I like your style very much the same way. I think the overall poised presentation, the decorum, and the overall discipline that goes into that mindset, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, so to speak, I think that says a lot about people's characters. And I mean, speaking of characters, man, I think you just did another great scene with Jake Laker. I got to mention, we mentioned the cheerleader spot. We mentioned a lot of great stuff. I want to ask you about working with Jake because he's another one. Great synergy, great energy, and it really does show within your films.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Jake's like a really cool guy. He's just like super chill. Like it's funny because like you look at his content, like you look at the way he kind of like curates this character. It's kind of just this like real carefree, like chill, like kind of like fratty fuckboy vibes, but like he's always a kind person in interaction. And it's like it just rings so true to real life. Like he's super chill, super nice, like super easy to talk to. He's a just very friendly guy, very like easy to get along with person. And even being a content creator who doesn't show his face, like he always finds a way to like make it personable. I feel like when he's interacting with his fans or just posting things, and I think that that like shows in his success and his numbers and like how well he does and how well the films I make with him do. Because you could just say, well, like he's just a big dick, but there's a little bit more behind it too. I think that it's the energy that you bring to things, and yeah, he's got good energy. He's always been a good friend.
It's how you really manifest and put everything into the universe. And what I love about the mentality as well, much like you said there, and I'm going to say, like you mentioned earlier, like there's so many different avenues that got you to where you are today. You mentioned stripping, you mentioned being a performer, and just the overall presentation aspect. But I think what's really cool about that too, as well, is I've been checking out your mini vids. For those who've not checked out on mini vids, very nice sample clips. I'm here for it. I love it. But also, man, you know how to rock the pole, man. There's a video of you dancing, just doing your thing on the pole. I like it. Very sexual, very sensual. You got some moves.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was a drag performer for like 7 years, like I said, and my main focus, like as a drag performer, like I couldn't do like crazy choreography or like crazy like splits and stunts, but like I was always very sensual and very sexy, and that's what really worked for me. And finding that sensuality and that very hyper feminine sexuality, like as a performer, it really led me to the mental place I needed to be at to be able to be comfortable with the idea of transitioning in my everyday life. So it being sexy like taught me how to be me, really is what it is. And like that's why I think it feels so natural for me and it feels like so good for me. And I don't have a problem in front of a camera. I don't have a problem with modeling, like with photo shoots. I don't have a problem with filming, with videos, with porn, like, putting on a character, like playing something up, because it's like, I've been doing this. Like I've been doing this and I'm good at it. And I'm proud to say that I'm good at it. And it's something that I love and it's something that I've valued and worked hard to curate and do for myself. So yeah.
Well, it's an extension of who you are because your overall foundation is wonderful, but you get the extension added to it, that added layer, so to speak. And I
Mhm.
mean, from where you are from a performer and doing the damn thing, whether it's the pole or what have you, I think what's great about it too, as well as besides the real deal sex appeal vibes that we mentioned in today's forum, I think
Mhm.
from where we are as like teenagers, right? And then where we get to our adulthood, I think it's not only important to expand our horizons, but we really get in tuned and define ourselves to what we like, what we're into. Because if you really look at the people as a whole, we're all unique. We have all of our different preferences, and that's what makes the
Mhm.
individual unique. But how awesome is it to see just how everybody from where we are, where we start, where puberty
Mhm.
kicks in, baby, and then we get right into the adulthood. How awesome is it to see just evolution of what our likes and what our into is, so to speak? It's great to see.
Yeah, yeah, and I think like that's a really good thing to mention, just in the sense of like I feel like I'm very much a culmination of like my experiences, but my influences too. Like I'm very like inspired by things. Like, and I think growing up, like I mentioned, being really into fashion, being really into like animation and like character design and like games and shows, like I'm very much like an amalgamation of so many like types of influences and like artists I've looked at and models I've looked at and porn stars I looked at, like getting into like watching porn as a teenager, like seeing like, the Jenna Jameson, the Britney Skies, like these like Nicolette Sheridan, these like really like hyper feminine, like hypersexual, like blonde, like bimbo women who really encompass like this, like you said, that real deal sex appeal that like they walk into a room and they change like the sexual energy like in the room, like, and it's, carrying that kind of energy, I think is just, it's an art form within itself and it's really cool. And things like that have always inspired me and influenced me. So, I think getting here makes sense.
Someone taking it back with the Nicolette Sheridans and the Jenna Jamesons over here, the internet babes of the year, if you go back in the 90s for that.
Yes. Those were the girls. Those were the girls. And then, like, yeah, I mean, you look at it today and, like, I look at girls like Brittany Kate and I'm like, that's like the new age, like, girls like that. And it's like, I look at that and I'm like, damn, that's like so inspiring and so cool. It's like, it is, it's living art, in my opinion.
Oh, agreed. And I mean, I remember, like, again, like, we go back from, okay, we'll take it back to the porn side of things because this one bringing up where we're teenagers and whatnot as well. I can remember like it was yesterday because the first time you start exploring as a kid, like the first site I ever came across was a site called girlshuntinggirls.com. And the
Uh-huh.
premise of the film was it was just like girls were in the vans and they pick up another girl. And sometimes it'd be one on one, sometimes it would be one on one on one on one. But like that stuff from where we were in like the 2000s and how Naughty America gave us my first sex teacher, my friend's hot mom. I
Uh-huh.
mean, there's so many different avenues of porn, including trans porn as well. We got to give a shout out because there's a lot of great trans porn out there. There's
Yeah.
so many different categories and so many different varieties is what we need in today's
Mhm.
generation. So, I mean, from where we were then to where we are now is wonderful, but also at the same time, man, from where you start out from looking at these sites to where we are now, I love it, man. I got to say, just even sampling the appetizers we used to get, and now here we
Mhm.
are with so many streaming, it's wonderful to see the evolution.
It is. It is a wonderful thing to see the evolution. It's a wonderful thing to be able to feel like I could look at influences like that as a kid or as a teenager and think that they were so beautiful and so cool and they just had this aura of like this hypersexuality that I thought was so powerful and so incredible and be able to say like I can do something similar to that and make money and make it my career and people will see it and I can produce those things myself. Like it's incredible.
I look at it like this as well. I think also as well, you mentioned Groovy earlier, and what I love about the Groovy
Mhm.
girls over here, I've seen a lot of your solo work as well. First of all, very hot, very sensual, very intimate. But what I do enjoy, you're very welcome. I do enjoy as well is the fact that a lot of great content creators have come from Groovy. We've seen the expansion of trans talent, just talent as a whole. I think
Mhm.
the great environment and the community, so to speak, that comes with it is absolutely wonderful. I wanted to ask you about that, man, because you have killed it in those scenes as well.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, and honestly, like I only at this point like have a couple like solos out with Groovy that I shot back at the beginning of the year, but I just got back from a trip where I shot 4 new Groovy scenes recently. So I'm really excited for those to come out because I feel like those are more like full circle representative of me as like a performer, like not just kind of stumbling into porn and still being confident as a performer, but maybe not having like the look I want yet, not having the body I want yet, not really having that confidence of like, being like super comfortable and functional on camera. But like, I feel like this like set of sets that I just did with them, like, was like redemption for me. And I'm really excited to, have that opportunity to do that again and to kind of reintroduce myself like to the realm of like studio porn through Groupie. But yeah, they're super great just in the sense that, they do like they're just like a lot of like new models like at their start with Groovy, like Groovy is very like open. They they take a lot of different talent from North America, but they're also smart in the sense that they're very personable with you. And if they do feel like you have something special, like they will like go out of their way to like let you know and re-invite you to shoot and like kind of like invest their time and energy into you. Um, but always been like nothing but like kind and nice to me. And when I reached out to Buddy Wood, who's like one of the main producers, like who lives in LA, and kind of explained that hey, I shot with you guys like earlier in the year, and I just don't really like the way it looked, and I'm not very proud of it, and I really want an opportunity to be able to like redeem myself and like show who I really want to be as a performer, like in this setting. And they were like more than happy to do it. And I'm really excited for everybody to like see everything that comes from it.
I agree, and I think what I love about it too as well is as you can see, folks, Miss Eris Jolie over here rocking and styling in her own attire. Let's put that into the forefront. You mentioned fashion. Hello, love the look, by the way. Got to put that over.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. But what I love about it too, as well, is you talk on your Twitter, talk about the trans bimbo, and the way I equate it to it is you got that petite style, that curvy style mixed with like think of it like trans bimbo but princess, like Alicia Silverstone and Clueless with the as if whatever type of vibes. That's
Yes,
very
yes, very that, very, very like
yes,
Y2K, like McBling, early 2000s inspired, like
love it.
airhead girl with too much money, but I'm definitely don't have too much money. I could use some more. If anybody wants to give me some, please. Um, but that's definitely the vibe. That was the vibe I was really channeling when I chose the name Eris for myself because it sounds like the word Eris, so, very indicative of Paris Hilton and like some like snooty, snobby, like pampered girl who was handed everything on a silver platter. Even though in reality I work my fucking ass off and nothing's ever been handed to me. But I love those vibes. I think that they're fun, they're bratty, they're kitschy, they're eccentric. And like that's definitely like the vibe I always want to give.
No, I like your style. And first of all, I think how you also worded that so eloquently is I look at it like The Simple Life was so popular back in the day with Nicole Richie and Paris Hilton. Like it's a
Mhm.
vibe people can stand out to and gravitate towards because some people may remember watching that or that being on television. I think if you
Yeah.
could take a little thing from every one of your surroundings, it's wonderful. But also at the same time, too, it's also very cool because again, the name also goes into it, the marketing from the air, like you mentioned. You could even add a little Legally Blonde Reese Witherspoon thing with the dog or what have you. Like, there's so many things that you could take from popular culture. It just works, man, and it really does symbolize and showcase who you are.
Yeah, it's a really like fun amalgamation of inspirations, and like you said, it comes from all of those. It comes from that era of film and that era of culture, and I love taking little pieces of that. And I think like especially people in my age range, they see it and then they're like, oh, I remember this kind of vibe, and I feel like I get that all the time. Like when I work with people and when I put out new content, people are like, oh, this is very like this. And yeah, I think that's just like what's special about being influenced by different art and things. Sorry, I'm kind of trying to work with the fact that the sun's going down. I apologize.
That is quite all right. I will say this, man. Whether the sun's up or sun's going down, we get to see the beautiful imagery of Eris Jolie here. And I will also put this into the forefront, man. Like what I also do appreciate about what you do and so many great artistic figures that are within the adult entertainment industry. I
Mhm.
think not only the fact that we talk about the camera scenes and the angles, like we mentioned, the importance of said film and content creation. I think
Mhm.
that's probably one of the most misconstrued misconceptions people have. It's just like people are not just going out there, it's just like let's fuck and then boom, let's film it. It's like you have to have the wide array of everything. The wide
Yeah,
array.
it's like, yeah, people really do like think that people don't understand how much goes into it, how many hours like that. Like personally, I always put into my scenes. I will do like very like more short form, like easy stuff, like just for like the freebies that I give out to my subscription pages, like the free stuff that I will post like for like my fans to look at on their feeds. Like you'll still get like me masturbating, me playing, me being naked, me teasing, me talking dirty. But those things are more short form and they're not like as high production. So I don't charge like per view of those because I don't feel like, yeah, I feel like if you're paying a subscription price, you should get some things like that. But when it comes to like if I'm filming something that's going to be between 15 and 25 minutes long, like yeah, it needs to be a production. There's a production like side of it that goes into it, and if you want it to look good, you have to put effort into that. And I just don't think that there's any way around that. Because if like you're not putting in the effort, it's gonna show, and it's just not gonna look good. And I like looking good. I'm a look girl.
I feel you. I feel you. I mean, there's been some like I remember like there have been some porn parodies, not now, but mainly back in like the day. For instance, I always bring up Spider Babe, which was the porn parody of Spider Man back in the early 2000s. Good film, not gonna lie, but I think just the production could have been a little more oomph on it for those that have ever seen it. And I think again we've come a long way with how we see different things from different angles and visuals, so to speak, from over 20 plus years now. But I think for you, you could concur with me on this. Like, how awesome is it? Because we mentioned many vids, we mentioned OnlyFans, how from COVID to where we are now, like that has become a big accumulation for money and business and community.
Yes, no, yeah, it is incredible like having those avenues and being able to see there's like no better feeling in the world to me personally like when I put the time and effort and energy into like a production and I sit there and I slave for hours and I get frustrated with the lighting or I get upset with something but I get it all together, I get it edited, I spend the hours doing it, I upload it, I do all the different versions, all the different overlays, all the effects and I upload it and immediately I can see people buying it. I can see people liking it. I can see people like leaving reviews on it, 5 stars, and like people will make comments to me like, "Wow, this looks really great. This is so great." It's like there's no better feeling to me than that, and to be able to be have like the tools to do that, like myself, like that's just me. You know, it's not a production team. It's not, you know, a company. It's just me sitting here like with my ring lights and my camera and like I said, a Ritalin prescription and a dream. So like yeah, no, it's been incredible. And I think too, I will say that like um I know like some like girls, some entertainers and stuff like clown like on like the idea of like trans women who do drag, and they think it's like more for like gay men or more in line with that kind of culture. Being a drag performer taught me so much, so many valuable like things that I've brought into my career, like now my career is in porn, that like you can't easily learn and you can't replicate any other way. Like, the presence I can have, like, the ability to like, become these characters and channel this energy. It's like I could see that being so hard for someone who's like never had stage experience or never had performance experience. And I mean, like makeup, like I can do all kinds of different makeup. I'm basically a makeup artist at this point. I know how to paint for every type of lighting. I can paint for daylight. I can paint for artificial light. I know how to do hair. I know costuming. Like I have so many costume pieces just laying around still from all my years of performing. And I think it was just such a valuable thing because at the end of the day, entertainment's entertainment, whether you're on stage or on your iPhone or in a studio in front of a really nice HD camera. It's all entertainment, and all those kinds of skills can be used across all platforms.
So I got to put this into fruition as this one's talking about the discipline and the drag and everything that she has learned from this. I always equate it to this. I mean, we'll go back to the 90s. I'm a 90s kid, for God's sake. So we'll put it like this. You look at RuPaul back in the day. You better work, cover girl, work it girl. RuPaul, such a significant, RuPaul's Drag Race, such a solidified, symbolized figure. I mean, if you look at movies, God rest his soul, Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo, Wesley Snipes, Tu Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. Like that movie gave us comedy, but also gave you an aspect of what the drag life was like, which was also very cool. And those guys just going out there showing and strutting their stuff and many different shows and costumes and everything that they put into that. So I mean, it's wonderful just to see, and I've always respected that craft too, because I mean, people say what they will. Everybody's got an opinion, but if you look at it at the end of the day, we mention performance, we mention presentation, but it's also the precision, so to speak, of nailing your craft, and that's what it is at the end of the day, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, 100%. And I look at so many things that go into like producing high quality porn and producing like, a drag production, and I'm like, these things are not as far off as you think. But I think that the one thing that I have as a drag performer, like I could do it in front of a room full of people if I had to. And I'm like, I don't know a lot of people who can do that. I know a lot of these girls, like out these content creators out here, like they can make a lot of content, they can chat and stuff, but you meet them on in person and they're a little mute. But I think I will always have like the valued experience of being able to speak to people. I can perform in front of anybody just like I can in camera, and I think that that's like that's worth its weight in gold. Like I don't think you know, you can't undermine that.
I think what's great about it, and I have to ask this just because we have so many great. I love it. Like I said, I can't stop smiling. Great entertainers, great content creators, ladies and gentlemen. But I think for you, Miss Eris Jolie, and I mentioned to this before we got on air, you're kind of like that Mariah Carey, that sweet, sweet fantasy baby type of vibes, man.
Uh-huh.
Like, how awesome is that for you now to see so many people that you've idolized and so many people that you've really adapted from? You're someone's like sweet, sweet fantasy baby that people see that image. It's like, oh my God, look at this woman right here. That's got to be very endearing and very empowering for you.
Yeah, it's like really fulfilling. It's like a full circle moment when someone does like tell me that, and they tell me like, oh, you're like, you're like the thing I look at, and I'm like, oh, I want to be like that. And I think that's really cool. Or when one of my influences will follow me back or like something or leave a comment on something of mine, like that's it, like it solidifies and it lets me know like okay, bitch, like you're doing the right thing, like you're doing it right. Like what you're doing and what you're trying to give out and put out is being perceived the way that you want, which I think is like just like one of the most powerful things you can do in the world is to like create something with intention and have it like read correctly and understood. It's like you can't. Yeah, it's like that's like the ultimate sense of fulfillment for me.
The ultimate chef's kiss, so to speak,
The
ladies.
ultimate chef's kiss. Like and come looking at porn stars, looking at influences, and then coming in and getting to feel like an influence myself or get kudos from these porn stars. I'm like, that is, it's really fucking awesome.
And I gotta say this, couple final questions before we close this thing out. I will say this to you, Miss Eris Jolie, and your awesomeness. I love to have you back for a round two in the future. The overture's here. It's been such a blast speaking with you tonight.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to come back. Have me back anytime, Mike.
I got you. All right now. So I gotta say this with the introduction, like we mentioned earlier, of many vids and OnlyFans, and this will lead to our last final questions in today's forum, ladies and gentlemen. But for you, how awesome is it to see not just the ability to, like, with you and many vids, like your stuff with Triple X Slayer, we mentioned Jake Laker, we've mentioned so
Mhm.
many people that you have on that platform, and especially with OnlyFans now, with the community, with the images and everybody's interaction, so to speak. Like for you, just to see where you are at OnlyFans and just to see many vids blowing up, how awesome is that for you? Just to have another place to put stuff out. I mean, there's so many different content creation sites out there. There's something for everybody, man.
I think that was like, honestly, it was a like little click in the brain moment, and it was very like it taught me like you have to just put, if you want to do this and make it a career, and you want to be as successful as possible, and you want this to be your main form of income, and you want to make a living off of this, you have to be on every single platform. You cannot just be on one thing. You cannot just do OnlyFans. You can't just do, the one thing. You got to put it everywhere. And like deciding one day like to be like, I'm just gonna see like what mini vids is about, because I know it's like pay-per-view. And once I checked it out and like started uploading things and started like seeing, because I mean it's passive income at the end of the day, because it's like I'm not sitting here, you know putting new posts up. I'm just uploading these videos with the descriptions, and then it sits there, and then people can come in, and doesn't matter if I uploaded the video yesterday or 6 months ago, they can buy it, and I can continue to make money off of that. And I think that was the goal ultimately when I started making content like this and putting all my work into it. It was like I want people to, years down the line, go back and be able to find those videos and those things. It's like it's like it's my own little storefront. And I think that that's like almost been a little bit more valuable than OnlyFans, in the sense that OnlyFans things can get buried, and it's very much it's really about interacting with the model. It's about chatting. It's about feeling like they're connecting with you. You have the story functions. You have like the news feed. It's almost like the Facebook of porn. um but when you have other platforms like ManyVids, like that do work more just like a storefront, like it drives your income up, and it's awesome. Like the passive income I get to make from like something like that, like it helps me so much. And it fuels me to do more. I'm like, baby, I'll put like 5 like mini vids uploads a week if like I can, make money like the way that, or have the kind of success that I've had like with my recent releases.
The best way to put it, and I love that, again, you're constantly on the grind and the constant content is being created. But I think
Mhm.
what I love about your attitude and your overall distinction here, it's lasting impression, it's lineage, it's legacy, it's representation of your presentation all wrapped up in one.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the longevity is like what you want to go for here. It's like this isn't just about fast money or just like making money in the moment. Like, you want to build something that is, yeah, I want to be like one of those Jenna Jamesons or one of the Nicolette Sheridans, or, even now one of the Brittany Cades. Like, I want to be one of those people whose, name you remember, and whose name like you Google trans porn, and like these people just come up immediately, and it's like you get that immediate recognition. It's like icons. Like, who doesn't want to be an icon?
This is true. And the best way, and I'll show my nerdiness again, folks, the way with your attitude and mentality and how you present yourself, you're like white chicks, triple TKA, time to totally kick ass. So in that
I
particular,
love that. I love a White Chicks reference.
I got you. I got you. But there's so many great things out there, ladies and gentlemen. The subtleties, the intricacies, and the nuances that go into the adult entertainment industry and content creation. Miss Eris Jolie, you are here. You are there. You are everywhere. Where can we follow you on the social medias, man?
Yeah, you can follow me on onlyfans.com/Eris Jolie, of course. But in terms of more work friendly social medias, you can find me on Instagram out as well at Eris Jolie, on Twitter at Eris Jolie. You can find me on TikTok at Eris Jolie, and Instagram, Eris Jolie.
Alrighty, links will be in the description. I love the style. I love the vibes. And folks, as I say to close each and every one of these shows, life is an art form. We are all applying our crafts. Continue to apply your craft in amazing fashion, as do you, Miss Eris Jolie. So, folks, if you want to follow the show, Mike Larkin 92 is the place to be, where we triple TKA, like I mentioned, time to totally kick ass on each and every one of these shows. Check out Larkin underscore 92 and M Larkin MB on Instagram, and SM Show 1 and MCL 92 on the Twitter front. All of our links will be in the description below today's forum. And Miss Eris Jolie, do you have any final words for your fans who've been supporting you since day one? They come out the woodwork to see your awesomeness and your face and your grill.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for always seeing something within me, even if I didn't see it within myself, even if I didn't see it within myself at the time. But, there's more hot shit to come, so don't worry.
First of all, I love the outro of that. There's some more hot shit to come. That it
Mhm.
is. I like your style, man. So with everything, folks, in today's forum, I appreciate y'all listening. Y'all should check out Eris Jolie, because if you're not, what are you doing? Get on that. And what you should get on is the fact of the message of beauty, strength, and dominance, the three key elements that make women the work of art that they are. Eris Jolie, an art form in her own right. I include you in those sentiments. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Mike.
Come talk to me. I love the way you're on to me. Looking at you, looking like you're wondering if we're here for the same reason. And I bet you wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey. Yeah, I bet you're here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, I'm right here. If you're looking for a good life, good vibes, honey, I'm right here. And I'm waiting for you. And I love you in your summer skin. Looking at you, looking like you're into it. 'Cause we're here for the same reason. Yeah, I just wanna lay in the sun, getting love drunk, sticking like honey, like honey. Yeah, 'cause I'm just here for some fun with that someone, feeling that something, that something. If you're looking for a good time, honey, I'm right here.